there, storytellers! Welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 11 of Bookmas. Today's video is going to be a little gift guide, and I did one of these last year and they were all kind of things that were good gift ideas for readers other than getting them books. And today we are going with a similar theme, except I'm adding another element to it. They are going to be DIYs. So I thought I'd do a DIY reader gift guide because maybe you need to save a little bit of money, you don't have a huge budget, and you need something that can be cost friendly. Maybe you just want to be able to personalize the gift even more, and DIY means you can put a personal spin on it and make it that extra bit special. Maybe it's a little bit of everything, and maybe you just like the way handmade things look better. Whatever your reasoning, I have a few suggestions for some reader gifts that any reader in your life will love. Now, these can range in difficulty depending on your craftiness ability and sort of the extraness that you want to take it to. They can be really simplified or a little bit more complicated. So without any further ado, let's get into this. The first gift is a personalized bookmark. These are super easy to make. You can just find craft paper that you like the look of, and you can personalize it with stickers or hand lettering or stamps or anything, and then you can laminate it with just some tape. You don't even have to buy laminate. You can just use clear packing tape and get the job done really easily. Or if you're a little bit more fancy, you could paint one on a wood mark. Those are always really popular, especially in book boxes. They are kind of fragile, but also somehow pretty sturdy. It depends. If you're a rough reader, maybe don't give them a wood mark because the wood has to be pretty thin for it to be bookmark usable, and they can snap if you're not careful, but you could give them one of those. My next suggestion for a gift is a bookish ornament, and this again can range. You can print out on paper just a little book cover, and then you can accordion the paper to make it like pages and stick the cover on the front and just hole punch it, run some fancy ribbon through it and call it a day. Or you can get a little bit more hands-on and buy one of those, you know, white ones and paint it, or you can get those clear ones and fill it with special bookish things. There's really a range of things you can do. You can even do those like soldered wood cutout ornaments. It's really up to your interpretation and your skill level and comfort level, but there's tons of ways to personalize it. And I don't think you can ever go wrong with a classic book quote on an ornament. I think, you know, finding one that you know speaks to their heart and painting it on there, or even writing it on there with a Sharpie if painting's not your thing, and just making it look a little bit fancier with like some glitter glue. Mwah, beautiful. I think they'd love it, and it just speaks to that personalization when you add something that you know they like, you know, a quote from their favorite book perhaps. If you're handy in the kitchen, a bookish treat is the way to go. The one that comes to mind immediately for me is Turkish Delight, inspired by the Chronicles of Narnia, but you know, not everybody likes Turkish Delight. That's a very particular kind of treat, but I'm sure there's plenty of novels that describe delicious cookies or baked goods, and if baking's more your speed, you can bake them something and then just write a handwritten card sort of detailing what it is and where it's from, you know, maybe putting another quote on the front of it or a picture of the novel, anything, and just it adds that little extra little bit of holiday magic to the reader's life to get a reader treat to read and eat during the holidays. The next two suggestions are DIYs for the reader who likes to keep track of their reading goals, and most of the ones that do like to use Goodreads, but a lot of people also like to use notebooks, and you could literally DIY a whole notebook for them. You could get really fancy and use like the cardboard and make it a hardback notebook, and again, book cover, quote, stickers, anything. You could get as crazy or not crazy as you want, but you could also keep it really simple and just use a fancy craft paper on the front as the cover, some plain white printer paper on the inside, sort of hole punched, and run a string through it, and there's a little cute handmade notebook for you. Or you could take a notebook from the store and stick bookish stickers all over it for them, kind of do a collage kind of vibe, and you could even get even more personal and sort of write like a guided reading journal in there for them. A handwritten one I think would be so special. You know, give them a spot for the title, the author, their rating of it, their thoughts, any favorite quotes, any other books by that author they might want to read, anything. And you can even give them guided prompts or reading questions or suggestions for reading. You could literally run the gamut with it. Next in the vein of organization is a personal card catalog, and this one can be super simple. You can just go to any local store that has like note cards and one of those plastic like note card holders, and you can personalize it that way. Again, same idea, title, author, their rating, any spots for quotes or special things about it. You don't want to go too crazy on this version just because it's a note card, you're gonna run out of space. But then you could get the little box, and they usually come with little tabs for organization, so you could, you know, alphabetize it for them or genre divide it for them, however you know they like to keep their books. You know, if they divide their books by genre on their shelves, you could divide it by genre in the card catalog for them. And then they have a cute little handy spot to keep track of their books, and it's kind of like a nod to the old school library vibes where, you know, you used to keep things by card catalog. The next few items are ones that I would recommend if you are someone who knows how to sew, either by hand, which would definitely be the harder way, or if you have a sewing machine that you're good with, I would recommend these. And the first one is a book sleeve. These are kind of a hit or miss for readers, so you have to know whether or not your reader takes protecting their books very seriously, or if they just don't care, they check it into their bag and go. But a book sleeve would be a great way to do it. You just get a little bit of like foam and some fabric in a print that you know they'd enjoy, and you just create a little rectangle basically with a slot in the top that the book can go in. And if you're real fancy, you could even put a zipper on top or a clasp, something to keep it shut. I've seen ones that have extra pockets for like pens or a reader notebook. So you could do a whole little gift with like a personalized book sleeve and a reader notebook and a little personalized bookmark, and they'll be good to go when they're on the go reading. And in a similar vein, I would say a bookmark sleeve. This was something I got in a subscription box, and it would have never crossed my mind to get until I got it. And I was like, that's perfect, especially if you're somebody who owns wood marks, because like I said, they're fragile and easily damaged, as are paper bookmarks that aren't sort of sealed in plastic of some kind. So having a bookmark sleeve, same idea, just a lengthier, thinner rectangle, fabric that they love, maybe one that has a quote on it if you can, and just a slot in the top for the bookmarks, and they're nice and protected. Next in the sewing category is a book cover quilt or a book t-shirt quilt. If your reader is somebody who gets a lot of subscription boxes, they might have pieces of fabric or t-shirts from these boxes that are reader themed that they just won't use, and there's only so many tapestries and blankets and little things that they can put up in their life, but they might not want to get rid of them. So consolidating them into one big quilt, I think would be a really sweet, personalized way to do it. You'll have to get somebody in their life to sneak you their like bookish t-shirts or their like other fabric-y bookish goodies in order to create a quilt for them without them knowing, because if you ask them point blank, they're gonna figure it out. But it is something to consider. Or if you know their favorite books, you could probably go to like a t-shirt website and print them on there for pretty cheap. I'm not sure, I haven't priced this out, so you know, this is one that could probably be a little bit more pricey, but you could get t-shirts with the covers printed and then use that to create a book cover quilt as well, equally personalizable to their favorite novels, and I think they'd really enjoy it when they cozy up reading. Another option for cozy bookish reading, of course, is to hand knit a blanket, which obviously if you know standard knitting, you could do that too, or standard crocheting. But if you're someone like me who does not yet possess that skill, you can get really big, chunky, soft yarn and hand knit it. There's tons of tutorials on YouTube that are super easy to follow, and I've heard they don't take too long, so it's something you could knock out in their favorite colors, and then they have a new cozy knit blanket to cuddle up under during colder months when they want to read. I also just realized on the spot, instead of printing book covers on a t-shirt and turning it into a quilt, you could just print a book cover or book quote or something on a t-shirt or sweatshirt for them and give it to them for them to wear, so they could have some little personalized bookish merch that way as well. And on the subject of wearables, my last suggestion is bookish pieces for their costumes. If you know your reader likes to dress up as book characters for Halloween, or they like to get into cosplay, you can personalize your gift to them by hand creating a piece for a bookish costume for them. I mean, you could go crazy and do a whole costume, but if you know they're like missing that one final piece to something that they're hoping to do, or they just haven't gotten around to making it yet, but you know they're going to, you could beat them to the punch and create a piece for their bookish costume. But that is it for this DIY bookish gifts suggestion video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by leaving a like down below. And if you have any DIY bookish reader gift suggestions of your own, share those down in the comments. I myself and others who like to do DIY gifts would love to know. But for now, I'm going to get going. If you want to keep up with me and all of my bookish adventures, you can go ahead and click the subscribe button. And of course, I highly recommend that you ring the little bell so that you don't miss a beat, because it will notify you every time I post a new video, which in the month of December, we are approaching halfway done, but in the month of December is going to be for 25 whole days, so it will notify you tomorrow when I post a new one, and I will see you then. Bye!